So it's Monday morning, and it's time for my mental health vlog. Yesterday evening, we had my son until a little later than normal, and then by the time we got back to the house, Sunday nights are our scheduled intimacy night, and we kind of just jumped right into that. And I'm like, oh, I need to make sure I do my vlog after this, and that didn't happen. So I'm doing it this morning. Last week was not super exciting, nothing, major. I did have some emotional moments last week. Disney had this special that they did for their 100th anniversary and or birthday. I'm not sure what they're calling it. And it was called Once Upon a Studio. And I knew that it was going to be like a mix-up of all these old animated characters put together into a Disney short. What I didn't expect is for it to be, how did I say it the other day to a friend of mine? It was a machine gun blast of euphoric recall. It was just so many emotions and memories that was just like bam, 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 bam. So much in a very short period of time. And I thought I was kind of stupid for like bawling the entire way through it. And it's only like an 8-minute short. I was bawling the entire way through it. And I thought I was crazy. And then I looked over at my fiance and I apologized because I'm like, here I am, this blubbering mess. And he's like, it's okay, I cried too. He's not a huge Disney fan like I am. I'm Disney is in my DNA. And but I just bawled all the way through it. And I am firmly believing that Disney knew exactly what they were doing, and they have a great way of doing it, and they have always found a way to garner emotions. But it was just every little emotion. It was, I remember seeing this with my grandparents. I remember seeing this with my mom when I was little. I remember taking my son to see this when he was little. Just so many things, and it was a lot. It was a lot. I need to go back and watch it again just to see all the things I missed the first time, because there's just so much. So that was one of the emotional moments I had this week. Oh, my hair looks like crap. Oh well. The other emotional moment that I had this week is I was laying in bed. Was it Thursday night, Friday night? I don't know. And I'm looking at pictures on my phone, and my fiance has already fallen asleep. And I see this picture. It's like a new feature on my phone. Okay, it's probably not new, but it's the first time I've noticed it. And it's like a picture of people that are common in my photos. My son, my fiance, my mom, my sister, whatever. It's got their faces. So what it does is it has recognized their face in every photo in your phone. So it shows it to you in a slideshow in chronological order. I didn't know that. So I clicked on my son's face, and in a 4-minute period, I watched him go from my little baby to the young little shithead, preteen adolescent that he is now. I was not prepared for that. I was not prepared to do that. I'm not sure I ever would have been prepared to do that. So if you have an Apple phone and you go to your photos, and I think it's under albums, and you see a picture of someone that's in a lot of your photos and you click on it, that's what it does. And I had another person, and I made a comment about that on Facebook, and I had someone else that messaged me like the next day, like, this needs to come with a warning. I'm like, it absolutely needs to come with a warning. It is really hard to watch your children grow up. It's very rewarding, but it's really hard. And I say this knowing that, my mother, she's watched my sister and I grow. We continue to grow. We never stop growing. You stop growing, you're dead. I mean, you might start shrinking, but you're still growing. I have to imagine at some point as a parent, it gets a little bit easier. I don't know that for a fact. Watching your baby grow up, I don't know if that'll ever get easier. But seeing it in 4 minutes was definitely not easy. It was great though. I loved it. Hated it, but loved it. We got a new fence in the backyard. We got, our fence has 3 sides, and the side on over here, we did a while ago because the neighbor on that side actually wanted to be involved and help. And he was a contractor, so we split the cost of labor, we split the cost of materials, got that done. The one behind us, we never heard back from the neighbors about them wanting to help out or participate, so we decided to move ahead without them. We kind of had to because the dogs had found a way to kind of get through some of the patches we had done, so it was time to get it replaced. So we had it done, and of course, because the backyard neighbors didn't want to participate, they have a new fence, but they have the ugly side of the new fence. So, but they got a new fence without having to do anything, and part of me hates that. But when you have neighbors, you can't always count on them for help. My fiance was like, I feel like we should give them another note that's like, hey, FYI, we're replacing the fence tomorrow. If you'd want to contribute, let us know. I'm like, don't, because they're not going to. They didn't respond to the first letter. They're not going to respond to this one. They're not interested in contributing. Oh, well. Date night. My fiance and I went for a haunted house. We haven't gone to one in a couple of years. We went to one the first year he and I were dating. So that would have been October 2020. And then 2021, he had his back surgery or something. 2022, there was some other, who knows. I don't remember what 2022, why we didn't go last year, but we didn't go last year. So we made sure we went this year. We went to one called 13th Floor. I think it's a chain where they have one in all the big cities. I don't know, but it was a lot of fun. Some missed opportunities for some of the actors, but overall it was fun. And I jumped a few times. The stuff like that doesn't usually scare me. What I enjoy about that is the fact that my fiance gets really scared, and it's fun to watch him get scared. But there were a few times I jumped, startled, and I jump scares or whatnot. But so we did that on Thursday, and that was a lot of fun. We had my son all weekend, and that is because his dad and boyfriend are moving for fourth time since they've left the house. So they moved from the house to the apartment, from the apartment to a different apartment, from that apartment to a townhouse, and now they're moving from the townhouse to a condo, or another townhouse. So I was very concerned when my ex went into an apartment, because I know how his track record is with apartments. He never stays at someplace more than a year, never has. It was an effort to keep him in a house for more than a year, honestly. I don't care what he does, but of course that impacts my son, so I hate it. And even asked my son this weekend, I'm like, you getting kind of tired of moving? He's like, I am. So I hate that for him. I really hate that for him. And I hope that when he's here, now that we own the house, I'm hoping that he can get a little bit more stability, at least here. I don't know when or if my ex will ever, purchase again, but my son needs some stability, and that's not something that I can really control for him. So I can only do my part, which is to make sure he feels that he's got a place here, and that his room is here when he wants it, and it's not going to go away for a while, because we plan on staying here at least until he's done with high school. So we're going to be here a while. But I do worry about that with him, because it's hard. You can make friends at school, but you also make friends in your neighborhood, the kids you go ride bikes with, or the kids you go hang out with, or whatnot. And he doesn't have that. He's not in a place long enough to really make those kind of connections. When I picked him up because this was their moving weekend, when I picked him up on Friday after school and I met his dad to get his suitcase and stuff, all of a sudden, like, all these old Taekwondo weapons and gear start coming out of the car. I'm like, are these living with me now? And they were like, yep. So my son done Taekwondo for a while. He reached his, junior black belt, like second or third degree junior black belt, and, then just decided to stop. So I told him, I said, we're not going to be hoarders. We're not going to be a dumping ground for stuff. I said, you have 6 months to decide if you're going to go back to Taekwondo or not. After those 6 months, if you are not going back to Taekwondo, all of the stuff is going to Goodwill. I'm not keeping stuff we're not using. I don't want him to get in the habit of that, because my ex's mother was a horrible hoarder. Wonderful person, loved her to death. Horrible hoarder. I think she's been gone for years now, and my old father-in-law is still like cleaning up stuff from her. I told him he just needs to blow up the house and start over, honestly. My ex has a lot of those tendencies. I saw that very much when my fiance and I were cleaning out the house to get ready for it to sell. And I absolutely do not want my son to pick up on those tendencies of not getting rid of anything, storing everything, keeping everything. Oh my God, you can't do that. You just can't. I purge stuff regularly. I have to. If it's something I haven't worn or used in a year, if I'm not holding on to it for some serious sentimental value, it's gone. So I do worry about that with him, because I see it with stuffed animals with him, how whenever we have to go through and preen the stuffed friends that we have, it's hard for him. He doesn't want to let anything go. And I have to convince him. I'm like, you don't use this. It is sitting in a box. I know that you love it. I said, but it's lonely in the box. And if you're not going to play with it, it belongs with a little boy or girl that will play with it and appreciate it. So, turns out in Texas that is a lie, by the way. You can't donate used stuffed animals anywhere in Texas. Your only option is to throw them away. I hate that, because I didn't find that out until after I had this tough conversation with my son about finding someone else for them to be happy with. And then to find out, nope, nobody's gonna take them. Shit. So I didn't have any choice but to throw them away. And don't get me wrong, I keep stuff for memories. I've got a keepsake box for my son, and not everything that he gets rid of gets gotten rid of, but it is a really small percentage. And it is I'm okay with my level of keepsakes. So I know that there's some things that my son's eventually going to want to get rid of, and those things will not be getting rid of. Those things will be in a box for his child when they're ready. But there's a big difference between holding on to things for the intention of passing them down versus holding on to something because you never know if you're going to use it again. So I feel like I'm really bad-mouthing my ex a lot. I try really hard not to do that. It's factual. There are characteristics and traits that he has that I hope don't get rolled over into my son. And I have to work to make sure that that doesn't happen, because it's what he sees most of the time. I need to remind him that that's not always the normal or the best way. I want him to find his own path, but I want him to know what options are. So that's the best thing you can do as a parent. Same thing with religion too, I guess. Okay, I didn't really have a topic or a theme this week. It was just kind of chit-chatting. So I did have someone reach out to me on my adult novelty website brand, and they wanted to get to know me better. And usually if people try to get to know me better on that site, it is, they want it to be in sexual nature. I usually shut those down. But this guy was, local business owner, starting his own business, and just a general nice guy. And I found myself talking to him a lot of the things that I preach to other people: self-care, self-confidence. I enjoyed the conversation with him because it was not a sexual conversation. It was someone trying to get to know me, and it gave me an opportunity to pass on little lessons and things like that I had learned, and he was very, very grateful for that. So I like moments and opportunities like that. I don't feel like I'm preachy. I don't feel like I'm going to like impose all of my beliefs on someone. But if I can tell someone a story that impacts them and lets them see themselves in a different light, in a positive way, I'm here for it. And, you know, I told him my goal is to be, to try to not give an F what anybody thinks about me, and to be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday. And that is always my goal. And sometimes I succeed and sometimes I don't. But I try. All right, guys, that's it. Next week is Halloween weekend. Woo, we're going to a party, and I've wanted to go to one of these parties for years. I've never been able to, so I'm very excited about going to the Halloween party that we're going to. Hope the weather is nice. And I hope it's not too cold, because if there's a gay Halloween party, it pretty much means a bunch of men wearing very, very little, pretending to be, you know, it's a harness with in a booty shorts and a pair of ears. Oh, you're a sexy mouse. Okay. I'm excited I'm excited that I finally have enough self-confidence to go to an event like this. And that has taken a lot of work, but I'm happy with who I am and where I am, and I'm excited to go and show off a little bit for the Halloween party next weekend. I hope you have big plans. All right, I will check in with you next weekend. I will hopefully still be conscious by the time it's time for me to do my vlog on Sunday, and I'll get that out to y'all in time. Check on yourself, check on your friends, make sure they're doing okay. See if they have plans for next weekend. If not, hang out with them for Halloween. I have a friend coming over to hang out with us tonight that I haven't seen in a little bit, and I'm excited about that because it's one of my favorite people, and I'm excited to just hang out with him tonight and catch up with him. And check on your family, make sure they're doing well. My family continues to be crazy, but they're all doing really well. And check on yourself. What do you need? What self-care can you give yourself that you haven't, or that you've been neglecting? If you're having problems with self-confidence, this is one thing I told the person today, and I'll tell you too. Go to the mirror in the bathroom or whatever and stare at yourself for a full minute. Don't break eye contact. It'll be awkward as hell. Set yourself a timer. At the end of that minute, tell yourself that you love yourself while still making eye contact. Do that a couple of days in a row until when you say, I love you, you actually start to believe it. Because you've got to love yourself before you can really love anybody else. And that took me a long time to get that. But it's much more rewarding when it's factual. Do it or not. But that's my little tidbit for you today. All right. Check in with you guys next week. I hope you all have your costumes. And all right. Bye, guys.